Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Friday Night SmackDown. We're here with episode number 3 of Universe Mode here in WWE 2k23. And tonight we're going to start off with some action. A first look at a championship match here in the series. The SmackDown Tag Team titles will be on the line to begin tonight's show as we get a little bit of a preview before our next PLE we have here in the series. Our first one on 2k23 is Extreme Rules. So these two teams will do battle in an Extreme Rules Tornado Tag match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships to begin tonight's show. Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob, and thank you for tuning in to another episode here. If you're excited for this one, you want more of this content, make sure you drop that like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Universe Mode content, as well as if you're interested in buying some Rogue Energy. Referral link is in the description of every single video I use. You just click on it, use code Mr. Rob, and you can receive 10% off your purchase. Tag titles on the line. Here are the challengers. It is the Viking Raiders who make their way to the ring first, and they get ready for the longest reigning SmackDown Tag Team Champions in history. They are representing the Bloodline. It is the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, still the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and they have done a phenomenal job of just knocking off anybody and everybody that stepped up to the plate. But not everything is good in the Bloodline, though. At Clash of the Castle, Roman Reigns' 734-day reign as your Universal Champion came to an end thanks to Drew McIntyre. So the Bloodline, it's up to the Usos to try to regain a little bit of momentum. We will see Drew McIntyre in action in our main event. He'll take on Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline. More on that situation when we get to that match. But tonight it's beginning with championship gold on the line, as the Usos look as confident as ever. And why should they not be? They've had one heck of a SmackDown Tag Team Championship reign. As fans, you can see here, pumping up for the ones. A little bit of a mixed reaction, but we're ready for our opening contest. That is what it's all about. The SmackDown Tag Team Championships are about to be decided as we head down to the ring. Following contest scheduled for one fall is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Introducing first the challengers, Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders. And their opponents, representing the Bloodline, they are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Jimmy and Jay, the Usos. And we're ready to go for this one. Extreme Rules Tornado Tag, and no disqualifications. No tags need to be made, as it's first ones inside the ring who get a pin or submission are declared your victors. As right now, good start for the Usos, but there's Ivar from behind with a nice clubbing clothesline to the back of Jay's head, and a nice butterfly suplex onto Jimmy, as Jay Uso, meanwhile, has wasted no time. He's already outside the ring, and he's got himself a ladder. The first weapon looks like about to be introduced to this contest, as Jay actually just dumps it on the outside. He's having second thoughts, as meanwhile Ivar's gotten some stairs, and he connects right to the face of Jay. Down he goes. Steel stairs off the skull, and a huge suplex connects onto the apron area, or the ringside barricade, as Jey Uso just took a lot of contact. And Ivar's not done. He's going to the other set of stairs. Jay again giving chase. He gets met with another pair of steel stairs in between the eyes. Rough start here for Jay in the early going, as he's been met a couple of times with some stair shots. As meanwhile, again, Ivar's going to get him, and he connects for a third time. Down goes Jay. Meanwhile, in the ring, Eric is taking it to Jimmy. So the Viking Raiders off to a sensational start to begin this matchup, as Jay actually just avoided a fourth steel stair shot. These two teams recently met on an episode of SmackDown. The Usos were able to pick up the win in that contest, but we think it was time for one more encounter between these two teams, because we talked about McIntyre winning the Universal Championship at Clash of the Castle. He actually won that championship inside a steel cage. It was the match that McIntyre was able to pick the stipulation for. There's more on that in just a second, as Eric goes for our first pinfall of the contest, but he only gets one count. McIntyre was able to pick a steel cage match to keep the Bloodline out of the encounter, and the reason he was able to do so is because he won a huge six-man tag match against the Bloodline at SmackDown 1200, as Jimmy kicks out at a count of one again. And his partners in that six-man tag action were the Viking Raiders. So the Raiders have been a huge thorn in the Bloodline's side, and because of that match, Roman Reigns is no longer the Universal Champion. There's a huge dive to the outside from Jimmy. So the Usos looking to solve the Viking Raider problem tonight for one last good measure. As again, Ivar in the ring. This time he's trying to pin Jay and only gets a 1 count there. As meanwhile, all 4 competitors now back in the rings. The Viking Raiders have looked very good in the early portion of this contest. As there's a huge power slam. And they're just taking it to the Usos, using their power advantage. As here's a huge knee right on the button. Jimmy Uso could be knocked out from that huge shot, but quickly he's actually back to his feet, able to shrug that off. It's like stone chin if I've seen one. He sends Eric into the corner, but Ivar there to cut him off to save his tag team partner. As now Jimmy looks to isolate the other Raider, and he connects with a nice DDT. And now going after Eric, so Jimmy Uso actually firing back pretty quickly, but he gets met with a huge right hand and knocks him off his feet. Meanwhile, Jay is going back underneath the ring, but there's a huge suplex inside the ring, and Jay has a table, and this time he hits one square in between the eyes on Ivar, so a little bit of taste of retribution from earlier, as Jay gets the table shot on the big man. Meanwhile, back inside the ring, Jimmy catches a kick from Eric, huge slap to the chest, and nice jawbreaker for good measure. The Usos trying to fire back in this contest. Action has been pretty rapid to begin, but that's kind of what we expect here. In an Extreme Rules Tornado tag match, all 4 competitors are legal, as meanwhile Jimmy here with a hammer, can't use it though. Eric wisely cuts him off before he can use the sledgehammer. But Jimmy now from behind throws Eric right into the corner of the table. That's the sharp part of the announce table. But now Jimmy again has the sledgehammer and a shot right to the rib cage. That'll break some ribs if it connects a couple more times, as Jimmy continuing to wail on that hammer. And meanwhile inside the ring, Jay is taking it to Ivar. So the Usos got off to a rough start in this contest, where they've been able to fire back pretty effectively. As now Jay has a hold of a kendo stick, and there's another DDT by Jimmy on the far side, and it looks like Jay is actually probably looking to make his way over. Now he's going to slide back inside the ring now and look to do some more damage to Ivar, but Ivar's got back to his feet, and he intercepts the cane and hits him right in the ribs. And another one across the spine for good measure. Ivar wailing on Jay, who's taking a lot of punishment in this matchup. The Usos and the Raiders. Long history between these two teams. Who will come out SmackDown Tag Team Champions? We've got a cover here, but Eric able to get there in time before a count is even made. Jimmy looking to flatten him again. Oh, big kendo stick shot is missed. There's a huge lariat by Ivar. Beautiful counter there to avoid the shot, and a roundhouse kick for good measure. This could be enough. We could have new SmackDown Tag Team Champions right here, but Jay is able to kick out at 2, and meanwhile a huge powerbomb on the apron by Jimmy. Just furious action here. Hard-hitting offense. There's a huge drop kick. Knocks the cane right out of the hands of Ivar, who wisely rolls to the outside, but Jay will follow with a suicide dive for good measure. Not safe anywhere when you're facing the Usos, but you cannot get pinned on the outside of the ring. Meanwhile, Jimmy will go to intercept Eric, but Eric is able to get there first and is just gonna hang him up on the barricade. As Ivar gets thrown inside the ring, Jay coming to the defense of his brother. That's that good tandem offense tag team since day one. As Jimmy's actually telling us right now, they are the ones. And they've been the ones who've held the SmackDown Tag Team Championships for well over a year at this point, easily crushing any sort of reign as records that go along with that championship, and actually closing in soon on the longest reigning tag team champions in history. So a very dominant title reign we've seen out of the Usos. They've knocked off anybody who stepped up to the plate. As right now Jay with Eric on his shoulder, he's got something in mind here. He's thinking steel ring post right into the side of it. That LED can cut people up. We've seen in the past. No give in that thing. Meanwhile, Ivar's actually taking it to Jimmy. That's what can be kind of a tricky situation in these tornado tag matches. You could be doing good against your opponent, but your partner could be getting dominated on the other side. So which one do you go? Do you go to help your partner, or do you look to take it to your opponent and try to get the pinfall hers? I think Jay is actually in that predicament right now. You see Jimmy's getting hammered by Ivar, and Jay, meanwhile, has actually got the upper hand on Eric, and he actually thought for a second to go help his brother, as you can see right now. But he's actually going to continue to take it to Eric. He's relying very heavily on his brother. As Ivar has him actually up on his shoulders. What's he thinking here? He's got his eyes on the barricade. Now he's going to go to the apron, the hard part. Jimmy able to slip out the back door. He's got Eric, and he throws him back inside the ring. Meanwhile, Jay is now getting hit with a huge gut-wrench powerbomb by Eric, who's actually going to make his way to the apron again, and he's got himself a steel chair now. Ooh, almost connected in between the eyes on Jay, but a huge power slam inside the ring. Nice rotation there by Jimmy. He's actually going to go for the pinfall here. He gets one, gets two, and almost gets the 3 count. As Jay doing a very good job on the outside, not allowing Eric to get inside the ring. As we see Jimmy actually making the climb, going up to the top rope here with the big Uso splash, connects. Eric is down as well. Jimmy's got 2, and that's enough. The Usos able to retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in a pretty physical affair. There was weapons in this one. There was hard-hitting offense inside and outside the ring. Very good taste of what to expect at our next PLE. But tonight is the Usos who continue their dominant SmackDown Tag Team Championship reign. Another successful title defense, proving that they are indeed the ones. The Bloodline might not have the Universal Championship. They're still looking almost as dominant as ever. Well, good match to begin tonight's show, but we still got plenty of action in this one, so we'll take a look at the rest of the matches. Next up, we'll see Shanky take on the former Intercontinental Champion in Ricochet. Tag team action in the women's division. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter take on Natalya and Shotzi. Then Xia Li will take on Io Sky, who has Asuka in her corner. A little bit of a mentorship there. Asuka mentoring Io Sky, who came so close to the SmackDown Women's Championship. And then we have our main event, Solo Sikoa versus Drew McIntyre. Ricochet gets the win over Shanky, continues his white-hot 2022. Chance and Carter are able to pick up the victory over Natalya and Shotzi. Io Sky is back in the win column against Xia Li, but now it's time for our main event, Solo Sikoa versus Drew McIntyre. Meanwhile, before we get to our main event in the backstage area, Seth freaking Rollins has intercepted Kevin Owens. These two have been fighting back and forth for months. We saw actually Rollins last at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view for NXT. He picked up a huge win in a 5-star class against Tyler Bate, but it was Kevin Owens who intercepted him on that night following the match, and it looks like Rollins is here to return the favor. Anytime these two former friends see each other, it is chaos. They cannot help but fire at each other. Rollins connects with a huge knee on Owens, who falls over some chairs, but Owens quickly back to his feet. Rollins is going to try to escape out of here while he can. Owens in pursuit, but Rollins is able to get away to the car parking lot and escape the building. So very combustible element every single time we see those two superstars. They are on a huge collision course sometime in the near future. But it's time for our main event. And here he is making his SmackDown in-ring debut, representing the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, the younger brother of the Usos, who we just saw retain their SmackDown Tag Team Championships earlier in the night. Now it's up to Solo Sikoa to solve his problem. His problem is a tough one. Man who just beat Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle in Cardiff in a huge encounter to end the last 2k22 section of Universe Mode. Well, Solo Sikoa's got to be able to do it tonight. But he's going up against the new WWE Universal Champion, the Scottish Warrior. Here he comes. Drew McIntyre making his first entrance with the Blue Championship. As here he comes with the trusty sword in hand. And boy, does that title look good around his waist. For the first time in over 2 years, somebody else holds that championship and reigns atop the SmackDown mountain. It is Drew McIntyre. Crowd going crazy here for the new Universal Champion. We didn't think anybody could knock off Roman Reigns for the longest of time, but Drew McIntyre, it has not been an easy road to get to this point. He's overcome every single hurdle, which made that win in Cardiff that much more satisfying in front of thousands of his own fans from nearby Scotland. Drew McIntyre accomplished what some people thought was the impossible, but the journey's not over. He's got a huge match here tonight against Solo Sikoa, looking for some sweet revenge is Drew McIntyre. We'll touch more on that in just a moment. But both superstars are in the ring, and we're about ready to begin tonight's main event. Solo Sikoa versus Drew McIntyre, non-title matchup. And here we go. A huge main event here for our first edition of Friday Night SmackDown here in WWE 2k23 Universe Mode. As a Solo Sikoa actually has the early advantage first. He's going to prop McIntyre against the ropes. Huge right hand shot. And he gets sent over the top rope for good measure. McIntyre having none of that. Firing the first warning shot. But Solo Sikoa back inside the ring. The street champion, who's somebody who you don't want to really get into a bare knuckle brawling with. We know McIntyre loves to fight, but he's got to be careful. Yes, Solo, this is his first match on the main roster. And yes, he's going up against the new Universal Champion, but Solo Sikoa has a lot of power in those fists. He lands a couple of shots, and you could be looking at the lights for 3. As these two go back all the way to SummerSlam, McIntyre has had a heck of a journey as there's a huge powerbomb quickly there on Solo, looking to put this one away, and he only gets a 1 count, though, on the Samoan. McIntyre's had a heck of a journey to get to the Universal Championship, but it was at SummerSlam where you've had the roadblock of Solo Sikoa. McIntyre was put through 7 other people at Money in the Bank in order to get a shot at Roman. He had to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. As hold on a second, throws Sikoa outside the ring. What's McIntyre got in mind? Here he's going to dive over the top rope. Tohei Kohiro to the outside. It's a huge man to be leaping over the top rope. But McIntyre, powerful and agile, the whole package. Back to our point, had to beat 7 other men in Money in the Bank in order to get a shot at Roman Reigns, and he did just that. And McIntyre called his shot for SummerSlam. The main event against Roman Reigns, the Usos were banned from ringside. But one man who made his presence known, Solo Sikoa, after a ref bump, Sikoa got himself involved, flattened Drew McIntyre, and allowed Roman Reigns to connect with the spear and retain the championship. So ever since that night, McIntyre has had a bit of hatred for Sikoa, and now finally gets a chance tonight to face off against him in our main event, as there's a huge backbreaker with a knee. And looking for another one for good measure, and he does. He's now going for the cover here. Gets 1, but another quick kick out by Sikoa, showing his resiliency early. This is a huge spot for the Samoan. First match here on the main roster. We've seen him in NXT. He's actually in a main event here of Friday Night SmackDown. Actually also recently coming off of a knee injury. So Sikoa gets planted though with a Michinoku driver, but another quick kick out at 1. So very good resiliency being shown by Sikoa. He has all the tools to be a huge star here for the Blue brand, regardless of what you think with his alliance with the Bloodline. It's still a huge get for Friday Night SmackDown as he gets a 1 count now, 2, and there's the first 2 counts of the match. Sikoa actually injured his knee recently, was recovering from that point. That's why we haven't seen Sikoa in action here on Friday Night SmackDown. And you got to go up against the new Universal Champion, so big time spot. A lot of people would crumble under the pressure, but Sikoa looking pretty good here. He's starting to dominate the Universal Champion. Taking the fight to McIntyre is a huge pop-up Samoan drop. That's what I'm talking about here. Solo looking very impressive. Now trying to pin the Universal Champion. What a huge win it would be. McIntyre is able to kick out at 2. Has to roll the outside for a breather. But Sikoa wisely not going to allow that to happen. Quickly taking the fight to the Scottish Warrior and throws him into the barricade. Very good move there by Solo, who looks just at home in this contest. McIntyre quickly back to his feet. A huge neckbreaker on the outside. That has got to hurt. Now we get Solo back to his feet. Throws him inside the ring. And McIntyre posing here in front of the Universe, who's eating all of this up. But Solo quickly back to the outside. Gets met with a chop. Another couple of combination of strikes and gets flattened by McIntyre on the outside. As the Universal Champion is starting now to get the upper hand, just stomping boots into the chest. That has got to feel good if you're Drew McIntyre. Now looks to get Solo back inside the ring. I think McIntyre is starting to hone in here. Stalking his prey from the outside like a shark that smells blood in the water. But Solo inviting McIntyre to get back in the ring and gets met with a huge lariat. And that's not what you needed, Solo. A couple of clotheslines here. McIntyre now hits the ropes with another one. A third clothesline on the button. Pinfall here to win the matchup. Gets 2, but no, Solo continues to stay alive, taking all the offense from McIntyre. He's now got him back to his feet, and a huge throw of a suplex there. Sends Solo almost halfway across the ring. That's a big dude to be going at. Solo very much lower body centered. But McIntyre now goes to the corner. This is not where you want to be. The countdown has begun. 1. Solo Sikoa, welcome to Claymore Country. Right on the button. The Claymore connects. That gets the 1, that gets the 2, and it's almost textbook. McIntyre gets a huge victory here in our main event, and that has got to feel good if you're Drew. Continues the momentum, but it was a huge showing here by Sikoa. That huge Samoan drop looked very impressive. Had all the tools in this matchup, but nobody right now is beating Drew McIntyre. He gets the 1, 2, 3. Gets another piece of revenge against the Bloodline. He's got to be feeling good, but McIntyre actually motioning here for a microphone. Well, let's see what the Scottish Warrior has to say. Well, that's 2 times this week I've been able to knock off the Bloodline Solo tonight in Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle. And I know Roman is going to want a shot again soon for the Universal Championship, but I don't want to wait around. See, unlike the Tribal Chief, I'm going to be a fighting champion. And I want to face the very best here that Friday Night SmackDown has to offer. I'm not running from no challenge. And there's been one superstar that I've had my eye on and has had my respect, who's been dominating here, the blue brand. And I want to give him a shot at my Universal Championship. So, Ricochet, how about you get out here and accept my challenge? Well, McIntyre has named who he wants his next opponent to be, and here comes the one and only Ricochet, the former Intercontinental Champion. And McIntyre is right. Nobody on SmackDown has been hotter than Ricochet, who lost that championship in a triple threat match at Clash of the Castle, and he wasn't even pinned to lose the title. Sami Zayn pinned Karrion Kross on that night. So a huge opportunity for Ricochet. 2 superstars that got a utmost respect for each other. And Ricochet gonna head to the ring. We'll have to see if he answers the call. I love this by McIntyre. Give the very best matches you can on Friday Night SmackDown. And Ricochet making a beeline for the ring. Both superstars in, and they shake hands. So McIntyre and Ricochet for the Universal Championship in the near future. I have to think it'd be at Extreme Rules, which is their next PLE here in the series. That is in 5 weeks' time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you're enjoying the series so far, make sure you drop that like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Universe Mode content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.